In Dade City, Florida, Dade City Wild Things is home to over 100 species of animals.
Dade City Wild Things is actually an ecotourism sanctuary zoo. We kind of do sanctuary work, I do wildlife rescue work, and I also do conservation work here. A lot of people ask me how I started or why I started this. It's kind of one of those days I woke up and I had a zoo. It's not something I intended to do.
While 22 acres could be home to one of the most opulent Florida properties, Kathy and Kenny Stearns have turned their land into a conservation park. But there is one animal who stands out from the rest. A coyote pup named Macy, who's broken away from her pack and canine tradition to form an unusual friendship.
These are baby coyotes. They're about 4 months old. This little one here is Macy.
In Florida, coyotes are actually considered to a lot of people a nuisance because they attack cattle. Macy's parents was actually wild coyotes. Something happened to the mother and they ended up falling into this abandoned pool and they couldn't get out. We were able to get them and raise them, and that's where their father came from, was that particular place.
Macy was born here on the property with 3 siblings. She's always, to me, at least been a very pretty coyote. She has extra white markings around her mouth and her face, and that just always, to me, made her look very, almost elegant.
Kelsey was the one that did most of the hand raising with the coyotes, so she's got a big bond with the coyotes.
From a very young age, we hand raised and bottle fed her and her siblings. Macy's always been the runt. She's always been considerably smaller than her siblings.
In a lot of litters, the runts don't even survive. She was so much smaller, especially at the very beginning, that she was constantly fighting off all 3 of them.
Because of her size, it's easier for her bigger siblings to pick on her and push her around.
We started to be concerned that she was getting too dominated. Even when she was left alone, she was just very timid and in the corner. She could just tell she was miserable. So we decided to pull her out and give her some time by herself. In the wild, we respect the life and death cycle, but in captivity, that's our responsibility to make sure that that doesn't happen. The idea was not to keep her completely away, but to actually give her time to strengthen and grow and then be able to hold her own.
We're always looking at ways to try and, bring her out of her shell a little bit and get her to be able to interact better with her siblings.
We would play with her some, but we didn't want her play to be 100% with us because we do want her to be with the other coyotes. Then we come up with the idea of giving her a chance to learn to play with another animal. We tried one of the other coyotes, and that didn't work. They were so rough, even with the one, and she was so small.
When Macy's own siblings wouldn't accept her, they had an idea. How about a bobcat as a playmate? And it was a match made in heaven.
The first time we put them together, we were a little nervous because they're so different, and the way they play is very different. And so I wasn't really sure how that was going to work. When we put them in, they were just happy to get together.
It was kind of just obvious off the bat. It was so natural. They was just so entwined in their own world. It's just kind of like instantly they was buds.
They definitely remembered each other.
They do have quite different styles of interaction. They're both predator animals, and they can be uncomfortable, especially if they're adults, to be expected to live with the other species. And so you get a lot of competition and fighting.
I was expecting that they would play, and I was kind of hoping, one, that Macy could exhaust Priscilla a little, and that Priscilla could help Macy out with some confidence. When she went back with the coyotes, which we still put her back with the coyotes every day, you could just see the difference in her personality.
It was clear that her bond with Priscilla had given her confidence with the other coyotes. They won't be pushing her around anymore.
Macy imitates Priscilla in a lot of ways, that she's learning skills that you don't typically see in coyotes. Macy's actually learning tricks of the cat trade that she could use on the others that they weren't expecting.
Look at what I learned at camp, huh?
Okay, I'm going to turn it off now, but it's a great little video. You can
Priscilla's about 13
find it on
weeks old.
YouTube.
She's going to be a good
Summer
30,
Hill.
40 pounds. She's going to be